Alright, today we are going to learn how to install a fax card on a Toshiba eStudio machine. Alright, and to get started, we are going to go to the right side of the machine and the back corner right above the power cord. What we need to do is actually take off this whole plate first to get access to it. And then after we have this off, we're actually going to clip this plate out. You can see it's being held on by little plastic pieces all around it. So we're just going to use like a wire cutters or even a razor blade. You can just kind of cut those and that falls right off. And then you can also do this one. This one's not as important, but you can cut that one out as well if needed. So like I said, first thing we're going to do is take off the big plate, which is held on by a screw here and a screw here. Alright, now that we have that plastic plate off, you can see that there's also now a metal plate here, and that's being held on by two screws as well. That's where the fax card's actually going to slide into, and this plate is kind of handy if you don't have it or if you're going to remove the fax card in the future. So hang on to this, but we're going to pull those off. But first what I want to do is actually slide around to the back, and we're going to need to take off this middle section plastic panel here. And that's also held on by these two screws. And so I'm going to take that off. I'll be right back. Okay, you can see I have the panels off, and I also took off that metal plate that was down there. The next thing we need to do is we need to loosen these three screws here. That's going to give access to the motherboard, and where we actually need to plug in the fax card cable. So before you do that though, you want to make sure that you disconnect this little wire here, and sometimes it can be difficult, but just clip that off, unscrew the screws a little bit, and then this whole piece will kind of slide out. It's still going to be kind of connected by the wires a little bit, so you won't be able to take it completely out, but that's okay. You just need to get it loose so you can get access back there. Now once you take these three screws off, you may notice that it's still kind of stuck. There's actually one more screw back here, and it's kind of hard to see in the video. Alright, now comes the fun part. As you can see, this piece has now been kind of removed, but it's kind of being held on by this little cable here that we just unclipped. And that's okay. So now we can see the motherboard, and what we're actually going to do, let me turn the machine here. This black connector piece right here at the end is actually what we're going to plug the fax card into. And as you can see, here's the fax card, and this is how it will stand in the machine, and it has this cable that we're going to weave up and connect. So this is, it's a pretty simple process, but this flat cable can cause you some issues sometimes, and since I'm doing it one-handed, it might be a little difficult, but I'm just going to slide this in and kind of shove that cable through the frame there. Okay, and then this is going to eventually kind of come up through here like that, but first I just want to make sure I can get it in there, and so I'm going to plug it into the motherboard. Maybe. Oh, upside down. That's what the problem was. Okay, so as you can see, that's now plugged in, and what we're going to do is just kind of thread this through there like that, kind of shove it down so it stays out of the way. And then we're going to go ahead and put this piece back on and install all the screws again, so that's held on there tightly. And then just again, don't forget to reinstall that little red and black and white cable to the outside there. Once we have that back on, we'll secure the fax card on the front side, put all the panels back together, and we're pretty much ready to go. Alright, so now as you can see, I have all the panels put back on, both the back panel there and this front cover, and you can see I've also clipped out the plastic piece that was covering this hole. Now what I did is I just used a little wire cutters here, and that worked just fine. Like I said, you can also use a razor blade to cut it, but other than that, that's about it. The last thing we have to do is initialize the fax card in the software, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so the last thing that we need to do is initialize the fax card from the software. So what you want to do first is shut the machine down completely, even to the breaker switch is off on the right hand side of the machine. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to hold the 1 and the star while flipping that breaker switch back on. Okay, now you want to continue holding 1 and star until these buttons here all light up. Once those all light up, then you can release. Okay, as you can see, I did it. All the lights are lit up, so I'm going to release. And we're going to wait for the software to boot up. Alright, so you can see that we are now at a service screen that's asking us for a username and password. You actually don't need any of this. You can just hit the OK button. And then now you can see up here, fax memory initialization. What we're going to do is we're going to type 100, hit start. It's going to ask me, are you sure? We're going to say initialize. Alright, it disappeared. Everything is good. So now what we've basically done is just told the copier that there's a fax card installed and that it can start using it. So that's it. So what we're going to do is shut down the machine, turn it back on, and then we are ready to go.